The Italian economy is one of the most fascinating globally, as it faces most, if not all, of the major economic challenges experienced by other countries worldwide. Italy grapples with some of the highest levels of national debt, an aging population, a drain of young skilled workers, regional inequality, slow growth, unreliable tax revenues, and its industries, once leaders globally, have been surpassed worldwide. But how did the people of Italy get into this situation? Welcome to Money Dynamo. Subscribe now so you don't miss any video. Additionally, Italy serves as an astonishing case study in confronting issues like globalization, outsourcing, and restricted trade, causing concern among countries such as the US, Russia, China, the Gulf states, and of course, Europe. Despite these uncertainties, Italy has dealt with these issues for at least the past 2 decades, contributing to the economy's decline for 15 years. This has led the country to harbor some of the highest poverty rates in the European Union, a group of nations generally associated with relative wealth compared to the rest of the world. Even if the parallels aren't perfect, economists can learn a lot from these challenges. Beyond offering a glimpse into how our own economies might be in the future, Italy possesses truly fascinating economic traits worth exploring individually, if only because they're genuinely intriguing. Alongside Germany and France, Italy accounts for over half of the total gross domestic product of the European Union, collectively forming the second largest operating economy in the world. Despite this already impressive scale, the Italian economy could be much larger than its government would like to admit. In recent years, the black market has accounted for up to a quarter of Italy's total GDP. Understanding all that the Italian economy can teach us involves answering some simple yet fundamental questions. How did one of the fastest-growing advanced economies in the world nearly instantaneously stop growing, not just once but 3 times? What has the country done right and wrong in facing its long list of challenges? Who was truly to blame for the country's economic stagnation? How has Italy been affected by a unique form of destructive inequality? And finally, is the country's economic model incompatible with the new global environment it finds itself in? The Italian economy peaked in 2008 and has since mostly stagnated, experiencing a slow decline, losing approximately 20% of its nominal economic output in the last decade. However, looking further back in history reveals that this isn't really something new for Italy. Its economy today is a continuation of a trend that has repeated since the end of World War II, decades of rapid growth interspersed with decades of almost complete stagnation, and in many cases, negative growth, before growing again. Italy's economy historically was the most powerful in Europe before being surpassed by the Netherlands and England as they became global colonial powers. Despite industrializing more slowly than other major European powers like France and Germany, Italy, in its various forms, has remained among the top 5 European economies for thousands of years. Favorable geography, shielded by mountains in the north yet with easy access to the Mediterranean for fishing and trade in all other directions, has made Italy a conducive place for the flourishing of civilizations, both in ancient times and today. Italy's economy, as we know it today, really took off after World War II. The country was rebuilt, often from rubble, as war industries turned back into domestic industries with the help and under the watchful eye of the United States. Through the Marshall Plan, the U.S. invested billions of dollars in rebuilding Western Europe, and this was in the 1950s when billions of dollars truly mattered in government budgets. The motivation for this spending was partially to build a new customer base that could buy all the goods the U.S. industrial sector could produce, but primarily it was to develop strong, dependent allies to curb the spread of communism from the Soviet Union. Reconstruction also took place in Korea and Japan to stem communist influence from the People's Republic of China. Italy, despite not starting from an excellent position, experienced an extended period of growth. However, beneath the surface, political tensions continued to cause severe issues, such as the bombing at the Bologna train station in 1980, which to this day remains one of the deadliest attacks in Europe. These political tensions were in many ways both the cause and, at the same time, accelerated by other economic issues in the country. Despite economic output figures, it seemed Italy was doing very well, but it's relatively easy to grow an economy by assuming a large amount of debt to fund significant development projects, especially when the global power is more than willing to lend money to curb communism's spread. The challenge lies in taking that development and using it to sustainably produce value for the national economy and export markets, something Italy was struggling to do. Once construction and rebuilding efforts slowed down or couldn't secure more funding, the Italian economy plunged into its first modern decade of stagnation, although this first one lasted only about 6 years. During this time, the Italian government had to deal simultaneously with massive unemployment, a heavy debt burden, high inflation, and external challenges like rising energy costs for fossil fuels. The reason for closely exploring Italy's unique economic history, marked by periods of boom and plateaus, is to pose an obvious question: can it do it again? While nobody can predict the future, it appears Italy is due for another step on this peculiar ladder of economic production. Unfortunately, it's not that simple, as it faces new challenges compounded with historic ones, making an Italian economic resurgence unlikely. Population aging is one of the primary hurdles, as Italy has one of the world's oldest populations. Much of its workforce is nearing retirement, and the low birth rate means young people aren't entering the job market to compensate for those retiring, sadly becoming a burden on resources. This problem has been exacerbated by the fact that Italy has one of the highest rates of young graduates migrating to other countries in search of higher salaries. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has further accentuated Italy's economic vulnerabilities. The country, heavily reliant on tourism and small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, suffered a severe blow as travel restrictions and lockdowns paralyzed key sectors of its economy. The need for economic diversification and resilience has become more apparent than ever, urging Italy to reassess its dependence on sectors susceptible to external shocks. As Italy contemplates its economic future, there is a pressing need for a coordinated and visionary approach. Strategic investments in research and development, a commitment to sustainable practices, and a re-evaluation of the education system to meet the demands of the evolving job market are essential components of a comprehensive revitalization strategy. International collaboration and partnerships can also play a pivotal role, fostering innovation and providing access to broader markets. What do you think about? Do you think they will soon be able to get out of this situation? Let me know in the comments. If this journey has enlightened you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your fellow entrepreneurs. Until next time, keep fighting and turning challenges into triumphs. This is Money Dynamo. See you soon.